I invite you to consider a kind of darkness, not the darkness of the night, but a shadow that walks in daylight, hidden behind a polished smile. This is not simple pride. It is a profound emptiness, a hunger in the spirit cloaked in charm. And if you do not learn to recognize its shape, you will not only lose your time, you may lose the way back to yourself. This shadow does not simply believe it is superior. It experiences this as a fundamental law of existence. The hollow self walks through the world with an unshakable sense of its own special nature. It is above the flow of rules, beyond the reach of critique, and most certainly above you. But this fortress of dominance is not built from the stones of true self-worth. It is a brittle construction, a desperate sanctuary built to shield a wounded spirit deep within. A spirit that was perhaps once made to feel small, unseen, or broken in a way it could never mend. So, rather than tending to this ancient wound, it created a new face for the world, invulnerable, magnificent, untouched. It must be the greatest, because the alternative, the truth of its own emptiness, is a void it cannot bear to face. This posture of greatness is not a harmless overconfidence. It is a danger because it distorts the very air you breathe. When this energy enters a room, it does not see other souls. It sees reflections, instruments, and obstacles. You are useful if you mirror its imagined glory. You are disposable if you do not. You are never seen for the landscape you hold within. You are perceived only through its need to stand above, to be the brightest light, the wisest voice. If your own quiet light challenges this, you are not seen as a person. You are felt as a threat to its constructed reality, and threats must be extinguished. Here, the path turns cold, because when its illusion of greatness is questioned, the hollow self does not turn inward to reflection. It turns outward to attack, sometimes with the subtle chill of sarcasm, sometimes with open acts of humiliation, sometimes by poisoning the wells of your relationships in secret, all while keeping its placid mask firmly in place. It must win, not from a place of malice, but from a place of survival. To lose would mean the collapse of its entire world. Do not be mistaken. This performance of strength is not powered by inner force, it is driven by fear. Deep within, there is a terror that if the world ceases to feed it with its admiration, it will dissolve into nothing. So, when you are in the presence of such an energy, you are not with someone who is merely confident. You are with a spirit whose entire identity is woven from a lie it must defend with its life. This makes it unpredictable, volatile. Arguing with it is like arguing with the wind. Facts do not matter. Reality does not matter. All that matters is that its illusion of superiority remains intact. It will bend the truth, deny the seen, and rewrite what was, not because it is lost in delusion, but because the survival of its mask depends on it. This is not self-love. It is a deep self-obsession born from a place of profound shame, and it leaves a trail of silent fractures in families, in friendships, in the sacred space between two hearts. For no one can breathe in the shadow of a sun that refuses to acknowledge the existence of other stars. This kind of spirit does not connect. It mimics. When you first encounter it, the resonance can feel profound, as if you have finally found one who understands the music of your soul. It echoes your passions, your wounds, your inner landscape. It finishes your thoughts. It seems you have walked the same paths, dreamt the same dreams. It feels like destiny. But what you are experiencing is not a meeting of two hearts. It is a masterful performance. The hollow self does not build a bridge by revealing its own shore. It studies your shore and builds a perfect reflection of it. To control a river, you must first understand its currents. The most powerful way to disarm another is to become them. This mirroring is not a gesture of connection. It is a strategy of war disguised as intimacy, as friendship, as guidance. It studies you not from a place of curiosity, but for advantage. What makes your heart sing? What are your deepest wounds? What seeds of doubt lie in your soil? It gathers this knowledge like a farmer gathering tools, and in the beginning, it uses this knowledge to lift you. You feel seen, cherished, understood. But once your inner gates are open, Once your defenses have been lowered by this feeling of trust, the purpose of the tools changes. What was once praised is now subtly criticized. What was once shared is now withheld. The very qualities that felt like a bridge between you become the pressure points for control. Its empathy is not true empathy. It is an imitation. It does not feel your sorrow or your joy. It observes it and, like a skilled actor, produces the correct response. But there is no river of feeling beneath the surface. It is a transaction. It gives you just enough of the water you thirst for to keep you by its well, while it quietly holds the rope. If you ever question its way, or step outside the role it has written for you, the mask of understanding falls away, and what was once admiration becomes a cold emptiness, even contempt. The danger in this dance is not only that it distorts your view of them, it distorts your view of yourself. You begin to doubt your own currents, question your own heart's song. How could someone who seemed to know your every contour become so distant, so cruel? That question creates a storm within you, and the hollow self finds its peace in your storm. The more confused you become, the more ground it gains. This is not connection. It is possession. You are not cherished for who you are. You are used for what you provide: attention, reflection, energy. You become the screen upon which it projects its own fantasy. The moment you stop playing your part, you will be discarded or broken, often both. True connection asks for vulnerability, a shared flow, a clear current of honesty. The hollow self is incapable of these. Vulnerability is a threat to its fortress. A shared flow requires it to see another as equal. Honesty risks revealing the profound emptiness within, and so it mirrors. It manipulates. And when the performance is over, you are left alone on the shore, wondering if any of it, the warmth, the laughter, the feeling of being seen, was ever real. The deepest, most painful truth is that it was not. Control is the hollow self's central practice, but it is rarely achieved through overt force. Instead, it moves like a puppeteer, subtle, strategic, and with a chilling patience. It creates chaos not by accident, but by design. In chaos, it finds its center. In confusion, it finds its power. The more uncertain you become of the ground beneath your feet, the more authority it has to define the ground for you. This is the practice of the endless storm. It is a system of psychological weaving that unravels your sense of being, one twisted thread at a time. It does not just speak untruths. It bends the very shape of reality. It will deny what was said only moments before. It will revise your shared past in real time. It will contradict itself so brazenly, so absurdly, that your first instinct is to assume that you are the one who has misunderstood. That is the goal. For if it can make you question your own memory, your own perceptions, even the stillness of your own mind, it can place itself as the only reliable anchor in your world. And when it succeeds, it does not just control the space between you, it controls you. It begins with a quiet breeze, a dismissive tone when you share a feeling, a sharp comment disguised as a jest, a silence that leaves you questioning your own worth. Over time, this pattern deepens. You begin to anticipate its disapproval before you speak. You rehearse what you will say, trying to find the words that will not disturb the sleeping storm. Your world shrinks. You become acutely aware of its weather and increasingly blind to your own inner climate. The hollow self does not desire harmony. Harmony implies balance. It implies a mutual respect, a flow between two equals. It cannot tolerate this, so it provokes, then blames you for being stirred. It withholds warmth without warning, then feigns confusion when you express your hurt. It plants seeds of doubt about others, slowly isolating you until the only truth you have left is the one it provides. If you begin to pull away, it does not respond with reflection. It responds with escalation. It will flood you with warmth one moment and freeze you with cold the next. This is not a random tide. It is a cycle designed to keep you unbalanced, to keep you apologizing, to keep you chasing the reflection of the person you first met, the one that made you feel safe and chosen. But that person was never real. It was bait. In this climate of controlled chaos, your intuition, the quiet wisdom of your body, begins to fade. You stop trusting the messages from your own heart. You stop speaking your truth. You become small, quiet, easy to manage. And the hollow self, now firmly in command, stands calmly in the center of the storm it created, offering itself as your savior from a confusion it designed. This is the deep cruelty of this path. It does not break you with one single blow. It makes you break yourself, piece by piece, thought by thought, until you forget the person you were before the storm began. The hollow self does not seek love. It seeks admiration. More precisely, it seeks a supply. This supply is not the warmth of affection. It is a constant stream of attention, validation, praise, and compliance that feeds its emptiness the way oxygen feeds a fire. It may use the words of love. It may perform the gestures of caring. But these acts are transactions. They are not expressions from the heart. They are investments made to secure a return to your devotion, your adoration, your emotional energy. In the beginning, this can feel like the brightest sun. The hollow self knows how to pour admiration when it serves its purpose. It will make you feel like the center of all things, not because it truly sees you, but because your worship of it confirms its own illusion of greatness. As long as you play this role, as long as your attention remains fixed upon it, without question, without interruption, it will reward you. It may even place you on a pedestal, showering you with a light that feels like true seeing. But this cannot last. The moment you express a need of your own, the moment you draw a boundary, the moment you stop feeding the fire, the mask of the generous sun begins to fade. What follows is a cold withdrawal that feels like a sudden winter. It becomes distant, irritated, even cruel. And when you reach out, seeking to understand the change, it treats your feelings as a burden, as if your very need for connection is an inconvenience. This is the paradox of this energy. It demands your unwavering admiration, yet it offers none back. It feasts on praise, yet starves you of the same. Your compliments become an expected tax. Its silence becomes a weapon. Your pain becomes an irritation. This creates an unbalanced flow where you are constantly giving, and it is constantly taking. You begin to work harder to earn back the light it once gave so freely. You bend your own needs. You quiet your own voice. You make yourself smaller, more agreeable, hoping to receive the crumbs of approval that once felt like a feast. But they will never return in the same way, because once it feels your devotion is secure, it no longer needs to maintain the illusion of a shared light. It has already won. This starvation is intentional. By withholding validation, it deepens your dependence. It wants you hungry for its light. It wants you chasing the memory of how it once made you feel. In that way, it remains the center. It is a cycle of reward and punishment, a push and pull that creates a powerful bond, much like an addiction. You never know when the next warm word might come, and so you hold on, hoping it will. But it rarely does, because to this energy, your worth is not in who you are. It is in what your energy provides for its emptiness. Once that utility fades, so does its warmth. And in its place is a cold indifference that leaves you wondering if you were ever truly valued or merely used. There is one thing the hollow self fears more than anything else, more than rejection, more than failure, even more than being left alone. That is exposure. Beneath the mountain of its self-importance lies a deep, trembling insecurity it is determined to hide at all costs. Every lie it tells, every person it manipulates, every mask it wears serves one single purpose: to protect the false self from being seen for what it is. Fragile, insecure, and hollow to the core. To maintain this illusion of perfection, the hollow self is always performing. In the open world, it presents a polished image, confident, successful, even humble when it serves the story. It works tirelessly to gather admiration and respect. But behind closed doors, the story changes. When no one who matters to its image is watching, its behavior can become erratic, cruel, controlling. It lashes out at those closest, not because they are unworthy, but because they are witnesses. And a witness is a threat. Anyone who sees behind the mask, who begins to connect the serene public face with the private cruelty, becomes a danger. At first, It may try to win you back with more performance, apologies filled with self-pity, promises of change, calculated moments of warmth. But if that fails, the path shifts. It moves to the offensive. It lies, it smears, it poisons wells. It spins a new story where it is the victim, and you are the unstable one, the ungrateful one, the one who inflicted the wound. This is a quiet war, and it is waged without mercy. This fear of being seen drives it to preemptively destroy the credibility of anyone who might threaten the story. Former partners, friends, even family members who refuse to play their part are labeled as toxic or mad. It isolates you, planting seeds of doubt in the minds of others while maintaining its posture of the reasonable one. Its control depends on this dual reality. It must be admired in the light while it controls the narrative in the shadows. And the more you see, the more dangerous you become. It cannot tolerate true intimacy because true closeness risks being truly seen. Vulnerability, the soil in which real connection grows, is terrifying to it. It requires honesty, and honesty could shatter the fragile image it has spent a lifetime defending. So instead of opening its heart, it deflects. Instead of admitting a wrong, it casts blame. Instead of receiving critique, it rages or retreats. Every reaction is a wall built to keep the truth buried. The tragedy is that the hollow self is not just hiding from you. It is hiding from itself. But in doing so, it destroys the very connections that might have offered it a path to healing. Anyone who sees its true nature becomes a liability, not an ally. And so, the mask must be protected, no matter the human cost. Because for the hollow self, exposure does not just threaten its pride, it threatens its very existence. The most terrifying thing about this spiritual poison is not the cruelty itself, but the silence that surrounds it. These patterns do not just happen in a vacuum. They persist because they are hidden, diminished, and ignored. People do not speak up, often because they cannot. They are too confused, too shamed, too wounded to find the words. And that silence becomes the soil where monsters grow. For as long as no one names the shadow, it thrives. It becomes normal, even justified. And the hollow self is left unchecked, free to continue its cycle with a new face, a new stage, a new heart to drain. This silence is not an accident. It is enforced by the shadow itself. It creates a climate where speaking the truth feels like a profound danger. You fear you will not be believed. You fear being painted as the unstable one. You fear losing the very ground you stand on, your relationships, your work, your community, which the hollow self has so carefully cultivated. It manipulates others to stay quiet, to doubt their instincts, to question their own knowing. And when that happens, it does not just win control. It erases reality. And once your reality has been rewritten, you become easier to manage, easier to discard, and easier to forget. But the damage does not end with the one who is targeted. The silence ripples outward. Children who grow in such a home learn to suppress their own life force to keep the peace. Partners learn to endure mistreatment, mistaking it for the harshness of love. Friends and communities look away because to face the truth is too uncomfortable, too disruptive. And so the draining continues, not because no one sees it, but because no one speaks it. To break that silence is the first act of true rebellion. It is also the first step on the path of return. To name what you have experienced, the storm, calling, the manipulation, the cold starvation, the cruelty, gives shape to what felt like an invisible ghost. It reclaims the power from the one who took it. It sends a clear message: I see you. I will no longer be quiet. I will not carry your secrets for you. A shadow's power is not its own. It is borrowed from the silence of those who will not speak. And the most dangerous are not the ones who shout, but the ones who smile, who charm, who lie, who mask their cruelty in charisma. They depend on our silence to keep their illusion whole. They fear exposure because exposure is their unmaking. If you have witnessed these patterns, in another or even in yourself, the time to speak is now, not with the fire of vengeance, but with the clear light of truth. Because truth disrupts the lie, it cracks the mask, it forces what was hidden into the open air. And in that light, the shadow's power begins to dissolve. Silence allows the hungry ghosts to walk among us freely. To speak your truth is not just an act of survival. It is an act of resistance. It is an act of justice. And above all, it is an act of freedom.